Hello, I'm Dr. Amy Smith, Chief Learning Officer of StraighterLine, and with me today is...
Burck Smith. I am the founder of StraighterLine.
So Burck, for StraighterLine, what's its primary objective? What does it seek to accomplish?
Since 2008, we have helped hundreds of thousands of students lower the cost and risk of earning a degree. At the same time, we help colleges increase their yield and increase the persistence of their students. We do this by offering low-cost, low-risk coursework, typically general education courses, typically in what we call pathway programs or in private labeled academies or students taking them in onesies and twosies. The students can access our courses either directly from our website, StraighterLine.com, or we work with colleges where they put our course under their brand to help them with their own students, as well as with employers who want low-cost entry pathways for their own employees. The students that we typically work with are today known as non-traditional students. These are the students that are, probably the best way to describe them is what they are not. Is that they are not 18 to 22-year-olds on a residential campus. Now, not exclusively, but the non-traditional student, adult student, is the student who we typically work with.
Can you talk a little bit about StraighterLine's scope? Where does it operate in terms of regional, national, et cetera? And just tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, so we're a national provider. We have direct articulation agreements with about 150 colleges, but there are probably 2,000 colleges our students have told us have awarded credit for our coursework. In any given state, probably 80% of the colleges have taken our credit in some way, shape, or form. But what's been really interesting over the years is how we've developed what we call academy programs, but they could be called pathways or bridges or whatever it is. And it's ways to work in conjunction with a college as opposed to separate from it. And the problem we are solving is if you think of a college as having a funnel of students from interested student at the top to graduate at the bottom, students are falling out of that funnel all the way down. So your interested student may not apply, your applicant may not enroll, your enrollment may drop out, your dropout might then need to come back in some way, shape, or form. And colleges don't have great answers for these students when they fall out of that funnel. It's usually, hey, exhort them to come back, or suggest they go somewhere else. So what we do in our programs, our academy programs, we work with the college to offer a handful of courses, low-cost, low-risk ways that students can sort of solve their problem, whatever that is, whether it's they need to prove themselves to enter the school, need to get credits prior to entry, need to ease themselves back in, learn how to be a student. Those are the sorts of problems we can solve for a college on our pathway programs.
Lastly, can you talk a little bit about StraighterLine in terms of its impact? And what impact has it had?
I've talked about kind of the qualitative anecdotal stories, but we do see pretty dramatic improvements in yield and persistence with colleges with whom we have programs. So one school, they send the students that they can't provide admit decisions to. They let these students take about 4 courses, a couple in sort of math and writing, and then a couple in the area that is of interest to them. If the students are successful, they get admission and get credit. And if they're not successful, well, again, they haven't spent much. It's a monthly, sort of low monthly subscription. And what they have seen is a little less than a third of the students referred to the program have enrolled in the college. And most interesting is when they do get there, they persist at greater rates than their peers. So they're able to enroll a third of their non-admits who then do better than their peers. That's kind of the thing we're most proud of. Another thing that's been very interesting and I admit was surprising, we measure student satisfaction. So we use a measure called Net Promoter Score, NPS. It's kind of a universal measure that different companies use in different industries to measure their customer happiness. And ours is good. It's right in line with your typical service companies. When we put our program under a college's brand, that NPS doubled. So same courses, same content, same people, but students are basically twice as happy. You don't want to think the brand has that much of an impact, but it does. And what it says, at least to me, we don't have exact answers, but is that you're reducing the cognitive dissonance, the cognitive load for students when they have failed something at the school. They haven't been admitted, they dropped out, whatever it is. And if you as a school say, go somewhere else and figure it out, you're creating this real burden for the student about where should they go, what should they pay, what counts for credit, how do I do this, on top of having not succeeded in the first place. And if you can keep that cognitive dissonance down by saying, hey, here's our program. You didn't fail, you just haven't succeeded yet. come here, take the courses. We have vetted it. We trust this. You get credit for it. They've kind of solved all those problems. It makes it a way better experience for the student. So that was a real aha moment for us a few years ago as we started doing this with colleges under their brands, and that's kind of amazing to see that you can have that kind of impact on student success and student behavior.
Wonderful. Last thought. So thank you for sharing StraighterLine, its history, its work, what we do, and its impact.
Well, thank you.